Well, hello everybody and welcome. As you know, we're getting used to working on all of our platforms and doing Zoom meetings, but every once in a while there's a problem. So today we had a little problem, but we're ready to go. I'm Jim Olson with the National Tile Contractors Association, and I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend today's webinar. Today's webinar, Post-Construction Cleaning and Maintenance, Simple Steps to Keeping Tile Beautiful from Day One. And it's sponsored and presented by Fila Chemicals USA. Before I introduce today's speaker, I need to remind you that during the webinar, you will be muted. Please use the questions area on your computer to type in your questions, and we will answer your questions at the end of this presentation. If the audio on your computer is poor, call the number on the invite you were sent and listen on your phone. All of our webinars are available to watch at any time on the NTCA YouTube channel shortly after the webinars are presented. Please go to the NTCA YouTube channel, subscribe, and you will be notified of all upcoming NTCA videos, including all technical webinars, giving you easier access to watch all our current and past programs at your convenience. All right, here we go. Today's speaker, Marco Gagliozzi, is Area Sales and Technical Manager for Fila Chemicals USA. He graduated in Foreign Languages and Literature from the University of Foscari in Venice, Italy, and received a postgraduate in Education from Lancaster University in the UK. After a few years in the teaching industry, he joined Fila in 1998, the leading manufacturer of tile and stone care products, as a salesman for the Asian markets. 1 year later, Fila opened a corporation in Miami, Florida to better serve the North, Central, South American, and Caribbean markets. Serving as both sales and technical support manager for the new corporation, he started promoting Fila throughout the Americas, where Fila is now the leader. Welcome, Marco. Sorry for all the problems we had. We're good to go.
Perfect. Thank you, Jim, and thank you, everybody. Thanks for participating to this webinar. And as you see on the screen, the title is actually Post-Construction Cleaning and Maintenance. Two topics, very important. One is post-construction, and the other one is the maintenance of the tile. Why these two topics? Because we've seen that a lot of problems associated with the keeping the tile clean, porcelain tile, ceramic tile, is due to these two problems. So let's see the clean porcelain and ceramic tile after installation. I was saying is very, very important because most of the time they do not use, people don't use the right cleaner, the right tools after installation. And you know, when the tile becomes or gets difficult to clean, and this is the number one question that we have all the time. Very often, most often, the cause is inadequate post-installation cleaning. So, if the haze, meaning that the haze, it could be the cementitious haze or epoxy grout haze. If the haze is left, you know, after installation, this haze potentially can lead to different, a lot of problems. So, as far as the cleanability of tiles. Now, this is, I wanted to show you this picture because this is very representative of what I was talking about. This is basically a floor, 8 months old, with the customer still complaining about keeping it clean, you know, because the initial cleaning after installation was never done. So this is cementitious grout haze still there, you know, after 8 months from installation. Now, the little test we did was with an acidic cleaner. It's cementitious grout. We're going to go on the grout in a second. Cementitious, acidic cleaner for cementitious grout, diluted, and there you see the result of the cleaning. So where do we go from here? Let's look at the what's the best method to clean the grout haze. And of course, the most important thing is to know the grout, that was used. So that's the first important thing that we should know. Broadly speaking, as you all know, we have two big groups of grout. We have the cementitious, the cement-based, grout, and then the epoxy or the urethane, or even the pre-mixed or hybrids, they're also called grouts. These two groups of grout, they require two different type of cleaners. As you know, cement-based, grouts, they normally require an acid cleaner because that's cementitious. So the acid will react with the cement-based grout and will remove any haze. Now, on the other hand, the epoxies or the urethane, also hybrid, are very popular in the market. The grouts, they require more of an alkaline cleaner. So on the pH scale, these two cleaners are on the opposite side. As you know, the acidic, they go towards the 0, and then the alkaline, they go towards the 14, approximately 12 or 13. Now, I'll put there also neutral cleaner. Why? Because when we talk about porcelain, acidic, alkaline is fine. They do not harm, the porcelain. But when we talk about polished natural stones, and especially marbles and travertines, in that case, it's difficult or impossible to apply acidic cleaners or alkaline cleaners. In that case, we have to go neutral. That's why I put also the case of those sensitive calcium-based polished finish natural stones, such as travertines and marble, that the only option for you would be the neutral cleaner. So just to give you an example, when we talk about acidic and alkaline, the types of stains that these two cleaners, take care of. So the acidic, the type of stains that an acid cleaner will take care of is obviously the normal grout haze that we've been talking about so far. Rust is an example of inorganic, or white braid on the top of porcelain. That's also another common problem that we face. The water stains, limescale, concrete paint, soap stuff. All these are considered, inorganic that require acidic cleaner. Now, on the other hand, we have the organic type of stains. So in that case, we're talking about all the, how can I put it, all the most common stains as far as organic, like wine, coffee, grease. Obviously, on the grouts, all the epoxies and the urethane, polyurethane. Tire marks is another example of organic. Things that, not the actual cement, rather things that require, the alkaline cleaner, Sharpie markers, and even the pencil marker. So these are more stains that require, an alkaline base. Where do we see the these cleaners on the pH scale? Let's see if I can scroll down the page now. Scroll down. Here you go. Sorry. So where we put the these cleaners that we were talking about on the pH scale, like I was saying at the beginning, acids are more towards the 0. So 1 point something up to 2, those are considered acidic. In the middle, we have the neutral, and towards the 14, we have the alkaline cleaners. As I was saying before, acid cleaners more towards 0. They take care of inorganic, and those are the most common stains that we see: grout haze, soap scum, water scum, water spots, sorry, drywall residue, lime scale, concrete rust. All these stains, the main characteristic is basically the color, which is more whitish, grayish, the exception is rust, which is not really white, but anything that is cement, a normal grout, base grout, or limestone, fluorescences are more whitish and gray. On the other side of the pH scale, the alkaline cleaners, they remove organic, we've said, and the organic stains are more, the stains of everyday life, I would say, meaning, food stains and drink stains, grease, oil, coffee, and up till the different types of crowds, the epoxies, and the non-cementitious. So this is your pH scale. Let's see some examples of the acidic cleaners. We were talking about the normal or cementitious haze, and you see a picture there of the haze and the four tiles cleaned with an acidic cleaner. So obviously, acidic cleaner, we're going to see in a minute, would have to be diluted, and it has to be a certain type of acidic cleaner. Now, lime scale residue, as you see on the right, the lime scale residue is also another inorganic type of stain, and you see it is also whitish in color. Again, other stains that require acidic cleaners, drywall dust, and one of the few exceptions of the color that is not white, but it's more of a, I would say, pink or orange, exactly, a rust stain, but it's still considered inorganic, and it still requires acidic cleaners. Now, let's see some examples of stains requiring, the alkaline cleaners. And obviously, when you say non-cementitious, we've repeated a couple of times, non-cementitious grout haze, we refer to epoxies, urethane again, and hybrids, premix. All those, that group of grouts that require the alkaline cleaner. Now, general dirt buildup, that's basically dirt accumulation of everyday, walking on a floor. That is also considered organic, and it would require an alkaline cleaner. Other example, these are very common everyday stains from oil to ketchup, coffee stains. Those require alkaline cleaner and not acidic. Now, just for you to know how the cleaner, work on a stain. So when you have a stained tile, the stains build up on the surface over time, obviously. Now the cleaner has to be diluted in water, and the molecules of the cleaner, they're going to lift off the dirt off the surface, and then with mechanical action, you're going to remove the dirt, and then the stains are removed from the surface. So it's the cleaner, the appropriate cleaner, diluted in water, and combined with the mechanical action. Now, when you pick the acid cleaner, not every acids are the same. And I was referring before, it has to be a certain type of acidic cleaner. Something that does not emit fumes that are harmful to the user or the environment. This is very important because a lot of times we see that people use the so-called muriatic or hydrochloric acid. That is very dangerous, for the tiles, for the installer, for the applicator type of acid. An acid, obviously, that does not alter the color or appearance of the surface, and it cleans without damaging the surface. And obviously, does not harm aluminum or steel threads. What you get from the hydrochloric, the fumes, they can actually corrode, those strands. They can actually corrode metallic parts, and obviously the muriatic or hydrochloric is not really working on the surface of the tile, but it's actually attacking grout joints in the tile. So we suggest the so-called buffered type of acids with these characteristics. Now, I was referring to a combination of the cleaner, the right cleaner, buffered acid, and mechanical action. Obviously, the tools, as you know, the pads in this case, when you scrub the surface, they go by colors. And as you know, the white is the softest, and the black pad is the harshest. Now, in the middle, you have different types of colors, ranging from blue, from red, from brown, and those are green, very common. Intermediate abrasion, so you have to pick the one according to the finish of the material. We suggest polished finish tiles stay with the white or probably the brown. Now, if you go to a more textured or even textured type of tile, you can actually go to green or even a blue. Now, non-professionally, you can use also a brush, and again, if you have different colors, white, brown are the most common. That is fine. Now, also when you rinse, of course, if you have a liquid, so-called liquid vacuum cleaner, that will be much faster for professional use, or obviously a mop for daily use. Now, let's see some images on the post-installation cleaning with the acid. And as you see, this is a tile cleaned with the acid cleaner diluted. Again, another example of haze taken off on a little tile. And then even on certain, we were mentioning before calcium-based, but there's a group of stones where you can actually use a buffered acid safely. So those non-calcium, meaning the slates, granites, the basalts, even the marble. In this case, this picture shows you a tumbled marble, so it's safe to use an acid diluted 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. Now, I wanted to show you how the acid works, and this is a little video. The acid diluted, the 1 to 5 diluted solution, that container, and pour it onto the tile, and you see on the cement pieces. Now, I use the blue pad there. One tile is a matte finish tile, so you don't the white because it's too something more abrasive. Mechanical action, you see, circular movement work the best, and of course you can see all the dirt. The circular movement, with the acid and the water. Okay, the normal dilution is 1 to 5, but it is out. It could be diluted a little bit more, or even a little bit more concentrated. After you're done with the scrubbing, actually it needs to be rinsed with water, and basically it's just pure water. There's no neutralization with different chemicals, just water, and probably a couple of times, obviously, because you need to remove all the haze and leave the tile clean. So this is for acidic. Let's see the alkaline, or what type of alkaline post-installation cleaner you need for those grouts, that are non-cementitious, meaning urethane and premixed and epoxy. So normally this alkaline cleaner should have a gel-like consistency that sticks to vertical and horizontal surfaces. So many times, we've seen epoxies applied on, little areas like backsplashes or, vertical surfaces where you actually need an alkaline cleaner that has a gel-like consistency and it can stick, to the surface. And obviously, you have to apply them as the grout is cured. This would be the best thing. Going back to one of the first slides, you remember that 8 months old cementitious. It could be also 2 years. It could be 3 years. The cementitious grout, is easier if you want to remove, as long as you remove it, honestly. Now, epoxies work differently. As you know, epoxies, they harden pretty fast. So an 8 months left there epoxy, it could be potentially a problem, even though, with the right alkaline gel-like consistency cleaner. It should be able with 2 or 3 applications to get off the haze even after a long time. Now, again, here I wanted to show you a couple of examples, the before and after of epoxy grout. So you see on the right the cleaning carried out with the cleaner that has a gel-like consistency. So normally when you apply it, you want to leave it there like 30 minutes before starting scrubbing. So it has also a sitting time that is longer than acidic cleaners. In this case, this is not it's not an epoxy grout. This is a situation of a accumulation of dirt, and bad maintenance probably. You see the before and after. Again, sit-in time of the alkaline cleaner, the range is approximately from 15 minutes, then it could go to half an hour or even more. But normally the 15 minutes to half an hour is the average, sit-in time. And then obviously scrubbing with the right tools, the right pads that we've seen before according to the finish. Now again, the this little 4 tiles cleaned, on a very again dirty floor and badly maintained probably, and this is the alkaline cleaner, applied on those 4 tiles. Again, when you have cleaner residue, and this is due probably to bad maintenance, maintenance cleaner used during the maintenance of the floor, you would have to go there with an alkaline cleaner and take off all the cleaner residue. Now, I also have a demo on this cleaner, and here we see actually 4 stains here. You see the ketchup, you see the coffee, and the oil. Even here, depending on the severity of the stain, you can use it pure or you can use it more diluted. Maximum dilution, I would say 1.5. Obviously, these are very stubborn stains, so I have to use it full strength. You want to leave it there. Now, for demo purposes, I mean, start scrubbing right away, but you want to leave it there the 15 minutes, like I was saying before, because it gives you the cleaner to act with the stain. And obviously, in this case, again, the scrubbing will take place with the appropriate pad. It's a matte finish towel like the one before, so you have to go with blue pad or green instead of a white. Okay, and after you're done with the post-installation cleaning, the grout sealing is also very important. Grout sealing is very important. Why? Because we're talking about obviously cement things, grout joints, because if they're not sealed, potentially they can lead to staining, obviously, but these things, they can lead to problems as far as disease also, because, and germs and bacteria forming. So as soon as you're done with the post installation, the best thing would be sealing grout joints. And as you see here, before the cement grout joints, the water and oil can penetrate, but even some other things are mainly organic. They can penetrate because cement is a very, very porous material. So, if they're not sealed against the mold and bacteria can grow. The grow in the grout joint. So it is a must to seal those grout joints. Here you see an example of a section that is not sealed, and you see already the water, the coffee, the organic stains already penetrating to the grout joint, and the left side section where there's the repellents, the beading of the stains. So it's completely sealed. I have also a product demo on this product, and normally, again, here we represented 2 grout circular, pieces of grout. One is obviously sealed, and the other one is not sealed. And you see there's a little effect there. we're gonna put water on the left side, and you see that cement has been, completely sealed, so it repels our, the water absorption. Whereas in the other side, didn't see it because I think there's just problems with videos today. But I mean, the let's see if I can. Well, I mean, there was a problem with the video, but on the other side, I mean, you can actually see the penetration of the water into that piece of cement that represents actually the ground joints. Okay, so again, of utmost important to seal ground joints to prevent, bacteria and mold formation over the months or years. So once you're done with these, two types of cleaning and sealing, post-installation and cleaning the ground joints, maintenance is the other very important, issue that a lot of people are now doing. So, and if you want to keep your floor, beautiful and looking nice convey one, you need to use the right tool. So how many times do we hear complaints about people saying, hey, I picked a beautiful floor in the showroom, but once installed and maintained, it doesn't look the same anymore. So this is little tips that we give. Use a neutral cleaner. It has to fall between 6 and 8. So it has to be a neutral cleaner, 6 and 8 on pH scale. 6 and 8 meaning neutral, and for daily maintenance. Normally, this cleaner has to be diluted. We say 1 to 200. 1 to 200 means a little bit less than 1 ounce per gallon of water. And if you use lukewarm water, that would be much better because it has more cleaning power to maintain the floor. And obviously, the most important thing to avoid is soap and water. I put there the 4 main things that you hear from people, and not because they don't want to buy the cleaner, but probably because they don't know, and they just go with what they have, at home. So soap and water, just water. Just water is, very common, answer that they give you, how you clean your floor. Just water. Vinegar water. This potentially can lead to staining, especially those polished polished finish porcelains. And even dishwashing liquid, it's used many times. So our suggestion would be a neutral, again, low residue, very transparent. A lot of times you can see, you can hear people saying, "Hey, I bought a neutral cleaner, but the color is probably those deep blue, green colors that don't make those cleaners obviously neutral. They're either acidic or alkaline. So it has to be safe for all the surfaces. So you can use it for, porcelain, so you can use it as a polished level, and for the most delicates. So pH neutral for maintenance, and of course, you can get in a bottle concentrated, so I think 1 to 100, the dilution, and you can get it also on a sprayer, format, ready to use for countertops or on basically every material. Quartz is very popular, but if you have marble, granite, any type of natural stone type of surface, you can actually spray and line with a neutral sprayer. Now, that's basically what you need to do as far as maintenance. And again, it seems like a very non-important, if you want, little detail, but it is actually important. If you ask around, a lot of people they're not using, pH neutral, an adequate cleaner. Now, going back to the post installation, I wanted to present a couple of solutions that are in the market on here. So instant cleaners to remove cementitious and epoxy ground during installation. We've seen at the beginning the main problem that we have, the main complaint that we have is basically the initial cleaning not carried out and haze left all the time, you know, and basically, you know, this could happen, you know, after months, after days, or even after years. It has happened after years. And these two products allow you to clean the haze right during installation. So the tile becomes completely clean during installation. So there are no complaints, no callbacks, no sending, you know, the installer or the applicator to clean the haze. So basically, what you have to do is during the installation to spray one with the other and with a sponge to wipe thoroughly the haze right during the installation. So let's say, for instance, the one for cementitious stuff. It's a small 24 ounces bottle, and basically what you have to do is just wait for the grout to become firm. Initially firm, basically when it initially sets. Say so after 10 to 15 minutes. So after 10 to 15 minutes, you basically want to spray this product and then wipe with a sponge. So it's a helper basically to get the tile clean right there, you know, when you leave the installation. And the same thing is for the other, for the epoxy grout or urethane or premixed, you know, grout. In this case, again, wait for the initial, you know, setting of the grout, and again, 15 minutes, and then you have to leave it there a little bit. It's on base, so leave it there 3 minutes, and then wipe. This allows you to basically get the haze off, the epoxy grout haze off, right there during installation. And we all know what it means, you know, to leave the epoxy grout, you know, for 4 time days or even months. So great helpers, you know, easy to use, no dilution, you know, sprayers, just spray and wipe and done right there during the installation. Basically, these were the details that I was going to talk about. Of course, Amifila is here to help you with any, you know, needs and any questions you have. We have a lot of different sources available from the website, solutions.com. A solutions guide, a very thick solutions guide with digital problem, basically a digital problem solving manuals encompassing different cases and examples. We have a competent book, digital, you know, and a workbook on main references in the U.S. and Canada and throughout the world to feel a hand on different, you know, branches all over the world. So obviously follow us on Instagram, Solutions USA, and Facebook for different updates. So Jim, I don't know if you can hear me. If you have any questions on a part of the attendees, yes.
Marco, I want to thank you fighting through our technical difficulties, and everybody, please, if you have questions or if there's something you weren't clear on that you didn't get great audio on during that presentation, type in a question or definitely check with Fila. They'll definitely answer your questions. We do have some questions here, Marco.
Yeah.
When you were showing the haze remover, were you using that over natural stone?
Which one? The first one or the instant?
I believe it was the first one. Jessica, can you clarify that? Was it the instant or the first one? Well, she didn't come back, but she also asked, can you use haze remover over white Thassos?
Well, yeah, there was a slide that probably was It was too
She,
fast a little bit. But there's in that case when you have a polished calcium-based stone, meaning passes all the polished marbles, you have to go with a neutral cleaner. So
okay,
acidic and alkaline are fine for porcelain, ceramic tiles, certain types of natural stones, a group of natural stones, non-calcium based. But unfortunately, when you're dealing with polished marble, your only option there would be neutral cleaner, the one that we saw for maintenance, and obviously with a white pad. You can get the haze off, but you have to use a neutral cleaner in that case. Obviously, acidic can potentially etch, polished marble.
and then the haze remover on natural stone, that was the first one.
That was the first one, exactly. There's a slide there. It has to be pH between 6 and 8. So
Okay,
it's not a pH 2 or 1.5 or 13 because those are acidic or alkaline. So it has to be in the middle of the pH scale.
all right. Here's another question. With many of the newer NTCA 118.7 high performance cement grouts, it may be difficult to remove the grout haze. Can acidic grout haze remover be swapped out for a high alkaline cleaner to help break down the acrylic polymers that may be on the surface? Whoop, that's a long one.
That's and I think it's referring to those the newest types of grouts that are not really cement based, right? In that case, you actually have to use an alkaline cleaner. That's the group of and of course yes, the answer is yes. You can use the alkaline cleaner, and normally the dilution would be a 1 to 5, and the scrubbing pad, depending on the finish of the tile, you can go from white to green. White to green, I wouldn't say the black, but white to green or blue if you want, depending on the finish. But yes, you can do it.
Marco, is that talking about like the urethane grouts?
Yes, I think it's
Okay,
referring more than urethane, probably pre-mixed or even hybrids. Because I mean today, I
okay,
mean there are very very few really even completely cementitious grout. I mean there are a lot of this new types of grouts that require more alkaline cleaning.
okay, great. Um, Here's someone, he's had numerous job specifications that call for tile contractors to apply a neutral cleaner to the finished tile work and not rinse. They want a film left behind to protect the tile from damage from the other trades. Do neutral cleaners protect finished tile surfaces?
Well, but my answer would be no, because
Yeah,
and that's actually very. I haven't heard such a question. That's the first time I've heard this question. I mean, no, a neutral cleaner has to be again something that cleans the tile, and then you have to rinse basically. Now if you use it in high dilution as maintenance, you don't need to, but it's not really a protectant. Like a protector against light staining. No, no,
okay,
it's basically a maintenance uh, cleaner. That's what it is.
all right. Let's see here. All right, one of our distributors is saying our most frequent complaint on tile maintenance derives from commercial client who use too much cleaner when damp mopping, and they're leaving a residue. Any
Right.
suggestions or product suggestions to prevent this?
It could be two things. The first one, you were reading, and meaning the cleaner too concentrated. Probably not 1 to 200, but probably 1 to 50, 1 to 30 that you don't need to. So it creates a lot of residue, and also the inappropriate, if you want, the cleaner that is not really neutral. So my suggestion would be go with a neutral, completely neutral cleaner, and stick to the dilution again. It doesn't have to be exactly 1 to 200, but the 1 ounce to a gallon of water ratio, that would be the best thing, in order not to create residue.
So just from my end, by leaving that residue on there from a cleaner, commercial cleaning, what will that do? Will that collect dirt? What will that actually do?
That will create like a buildup. I don't know if you probably saw a slide there with they're not scratches, but cleaner residues basically. So it looks like scratches, but it's like cleaner residues and buildup. And over time, what it does, it alters the beauty of the tile. So you don't have the tile doesn't look as the tile that originally was bought basically. So eventually, when you start building up again, you have to go with an alkaline cleaner, take off all the buildup, and then restart with the appropriate maintenance. That's why I would say,
creates
again,
a lot more maintenance too.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't really
All right.
harm, the actual tile. It doesn't harm that, but it's more if you want to labor for you involved, because in a few weeks you're going to get the buildup and you want to take it off. And leading to other different problems. It could be like slipperiness and all that, you don't want.
All right, can neutral pH cleaners damage paint? Let's say you're doing a countertop next to a painted wall. Could it damage that paint?
Neutrals, no. Neutrals,
Okay.
no. I mean, now if you go with steep alkaline or probably acidic, I would avoid them definitely. But neutrals, no problem.
All right. Here's another one. I've cleaned epoxy haze from quarry tile using alkaline cleaners and walking on the floor with the cleaner on it. It was extremely slippery. Is that just a characteristic of the alkaline cleaner?
Well, I mean, it depends on here. There might be two things going on. It depends on when you walk, and it depends on if it rinsed or not. Because obviously alkaline cleaners are more viscous, are more thicker in consistency. So, and obviously you need to like the epoxy ground haze remover, they need to be applied almost pure. We say 1-to-1 in certain cases, but it's basically full strength. Full strength viscous, it's a perfect combination to to slipperiness and all that if they're not rinsed. So you really need to rinse them very well, and then allow them obviously to dry before you walk. So I think it was probably not rinsed well in that case.
So while you're working with it, does it make a difference then on what the soles of your shoes or boots are? I mean, could that make a difference? Rubber as opposed to something else?
Well, I mean, if you work with a protector, shoes protector, that would be much better. But as far as the color, no, it doesn't make a difference.
No, but it's going to be slippery no matter what the sole of the sole of your shoe or boot is.
If you don't rinse it, but it must be rinsed.
If you don't rinse it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't rinse it. All right. All right. Is there still an app for your products? And I think you did show an app on your screen there, back a screen. Can you go back a screen or two?
Yes, it's actually a website. It's actually a website.
Okay.
We actually took off the app. A lot of people are still, love it. But we basically put everything into the website and into that solutions guide that you can see there. It's basically a digital solutions guide, digital problem-solving manual, where you can basically find almost every answer to your problem, basically. Yeah. So the actual app, Philo Solutions app, is no longer available, but everything you can find on the website and the solutions guide.
So I'll tell you what, for those of you, if you want to jot down my email address, I've just been informed that Philo will send you any technical information you want, any literature you would like. And if you want to send me a request on my email, I'll put it on the chat screen here in just a second. I'll ask the next question and then put my email up real quickly for you. All right, the next question is, you answered my question. Oh, you answered Jessica's question earlier. Good job. Can you share the slides, please? Yeah, I've sent something out just so everybody knows. All of our webinars are available on the NTCA YouTube channel within about 72 hours after this presentation is over. So 24 out, 3 work days after this is over. So by Friday, this should be up for you. You can look at it there. And I did, if you look at your chat screen, you'll see the link to the YouTube channel. You can go there, a great way to get it. I mean, real quickly, I'm just gonna put my email on here for everybody. And please feel free to send any questions and we'll get you information or anything you need. That's very important that you know that. All right, let's see here. So we said, someone has said, good presentation, Marco. The file materials are very, very good materials, clean maintenance tile, including our agglomerate tile. So I believe this is someone from Fila just saying the same thing. They've got a lot of great information for you. Send me an email. We'll make sure you get everything you need. Let's see here. All right, so that's the same. Let's see what else we got here. All right, here's one. Does any cleaner residue reduce slip resistance on the tile? Does it make the tile more slippery, or is there one that would make the slip resistance less?
Well, I mean, potentially, like I was saying before, if cleaner residue, they can make the tile more slippery, if you leave them there. But again, like that's not the situation you want, and especially that's why we focused on the maintenance, the right maintenance product, but also on the right dilution of that product. If you leave, of course, an undiluted product on the floor, it can actually lead to, slipperiness. But that's the opposite of what you want to do.
Yeah.
The 1 to 200, again, the 1 ounce or even 2 ounces. Again, I mean, it doesn't have to be, mathematical, precise mathematical, equation. But the 1 ounce or 2 ounces per gallon of water will not, give you any slipperiness from time. And you don't need to rinse from that dilution. Yeah.
So, there's companies out there that have slip resistant solutions you put on it supposed to help slip resistance. Does Fila have anything like that?
We don't at the moment with, we've been starting and I'm pretty sure the laboratory is starting something. It's something that, we wanted to come out with something very, I would say user friendly, because they're very technical products. They can harm surface more than fix, the problem. At present, what we focus is basically on the right cleaning. We've seen in a lot of situations where customers, asked us about, an honest product were due to the actually what we're talking about today, bad maintenance and bad post installation. So we want to make sure, the floor is actually completely cleaned and it doesn't have those residues, the cleaner residues that will make the tile more slippery. So if you put a product, an anti-slip product on top of a problem, you basically increase, the problem. So that's
right.
That's our position now.
All right, we got a couple more here. How important is it to always use a clean mop or clean devices and frequently change the rinse water to make sure it's clean, clean, clear, and fresh?
Yes, it is very important. It is very important, and this is also a common sense thing. It's difficult to say how often, but the more you do it, the better. The last thing you want is basically to basically use the same water when you clean to redistribute, the dirty water into a floor. So, again, it is very important to always use.
All right. Water. Marco, you answered those questions well. I want to make sure everybody knows, all those that are still here, there's 57, 59 people here still. If you look at your chat screen, please look at the link that I put on there. That link, if you can copy it, or just go to the NTCA website, and okay, at the top there's a little Facebook, a little YouTube button you can click on, go there. This presentation will be available within 72 hours on our YouTube page, And if you would just like to get any other information or have me clarify that about the YouTube page, just send me an email. Again, it's jim@tile-assn.com. And it's also on the chat screen. We have some people already requesting information, which is great. We've got a lot of compliments, Marco, that you did a great job and great information. So
thank you. Thank you again.
I want to just thank everybody for sticking with our complications today, our audio problems that we had. And, you know, please be aware that Fila's out there for you. They'll help you with your problems and your cleaning situations. Please contact them. Our next webinar is March 2nd. Please look forward to the invites for that. I want to thank all of you. Have a great day. Thank you, Marco. We'll talk soon. Okay?
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.